the dog who walked in. At 2:07 a.m., the automatic doors of the military hospital slid open with a mechanical sigh. Two armed Marines stationed at the entrance instinctively raised their rifles. Visitors were not expected at this hour, especially not the kind that limped in alone. A Belgian Malinois stepped across the polished tile floor. Its fur was matted with dried blood. One rear leg dragged slightly behind the others. Its breathing was shallow but controlled, not panicked, not wild. Focused. "Hold," one Marine muttered. The dog didn't growl, didn't bare its teeth. It simply scanned the room with sharp, intelligent eyes, searching. A faint trail of blood marked its path. "It's a stray," the younger guard whispered. "No," the older one replied quietly. "That's military." The dog wore no visible handler leash, but around its neck hung a torn tactical collar. A faded insignia patch was still attached. The animal stopped in the center of the lobby. Its ears twitched. Then it turned, directly toward the restricted ward hallway. That was when the first alarm sounded in the distance. The Marines exchanged a glance. Something about this wasn't random. The dog took another step and nearly collapsed. Before either guard could react, a nurse rounded the corner at a run. She froze when she saw it. Blonde hair tied back tightly. Early 30s. Blue scrubs. Calm eyes that had seen too much. "Oh my God," she whispered. She knelt slowly, hands visible, voice low and steady. "Easy, easy." The dog's breathing changed. Recognition. Not fear. Not aggression. Recognition. The nurse noticed the collar patch, and her expression hardened. "This isn't a stray," she said firmly. "This is a K9 unit." Behind her, distant shouting echoed down the hallway. The dog suddenly lifted its head sharply. It wasn't reacting to the people. It was reacting to something else. Something outside. Something coming. And then the power flickered. Recognition. The emergency lights snapped on, bathing the hospital lobby in a dim red glow. The nurse examined the dog quickly. Entry wound. Clean shot. High caliber. Recent. "This wasn't an accident," she murmured. The Marines shifted uneasily. From outside, faint metallic thuds echoed, not random noise. Controlled movement. The dog struggled to stand again. "Stay," she whispered, placing a steady hand against its shoulder. Instead of resisting, the animal leaned slightly into her touch. Trust. That was when she saw it, tattooed inside the dog's ear. A unit code. Her breath caught. "I know this unit." 3 months earlier, a classified extraction mission had gone silent near the border. One team missing. No bodies recovered. One K9 listed as Kia. But here it was. Alive. And alone. A loud crack shattered the glass doors behind them. Gunfire. The Marines reacted instantly, taking defensive positions. Masked men in tactical black flooded through the entrance. Suppressors. Coordinated movements. They weren't here for random violence. They were here for something specific. The nurse's mind raced. The dog lifted its head, eyes locked on the attackers. Not confused. Targeting. One of the gunmen raised his rifle toward the wounded animal. Before he could fire, the nurse moved. She grabbed the fallen Marine's rifle and rolled behind an overturned reception desk. She wasn't guessing. She was trained. 2 controlled shots. 1 attacker down. The dog lunged despite its injury, clamping onto another assailant's arm. Chaos erupted. Smoke. Shouts. Gunfire echoing through sterile corridors. And through it all, the dog fought not like a wounded animal, but like a soldier finishing a mission. What they came for. The attackers moved with urgency, not panic. "Secure ICU," one of them shouted. The nurse's blood ran cold. "ICU. Room 312. One unnamed patient had been transferred there under sealed military orders just hours earlier. No identity disclosed. No digital record accessible. She had noticed. She always noticed. The dog broke free from the second attacker and limped toward the ICU corridor. It knew. It wasn't random. It had come here for him. More gunfire erupted as backup security rushed in. The nurse followed the dog down the hallway, heart pounding. They reached room 312 just as another masked gunman forced the door open. Inside, machines beeped steadily. A man lay unconscious under heavy sedation.
Tubes.
For lines. Ventilator mask. His face was bruised, bandaged, but unmistakably military. The attacker raised his weapon toward the hospital bed. The dog leapt, despite blood loss, despite the shattered muscle in its leg. It hit the gunman with full force. The rifle discharged harmlessly into the ceiling. The nurse fired again, precise, controlled. The room fell silent. Breathing machines. That was all. She turned toward the patient. His eyes were open,
Weak.
aware, and fixed on the dog. The animal slowly limped to the bedside and rested its head against the man's hand. The soldier's fingers moved.
Barely.
But enough. He was alive. And that changed everything. Loyalty doesn't die. Military reinforcements secured the hospital within minutes. The attackers were neutralized. Silence returned. But it was different now. Heavy.
Real.
The nurse stood in the ICU doorway, rifle lowered. The wounded dog refused sedation until the soldier was stabilized. It stayed standing beside the bed, guarding, waiting. When the commanding officer arrived, his expression shifted the moment he saw the K9. "That's Ghost," he breathed. The soldier on the bed was part of a covert unit erased from public record. Presumed dead after an ambush. Only one member had escaped the kill zone. The K9. It had traveled miles. Injured. Alone. It hadn't come seeking help. It had come completing a mission. Protect the handler. At all costs. The officer stepped closer. He carried his partner 3 kilometers under fire, he said quietly. Then disappeared. The nurse looked at the dog. Ghost didn't look heroic. It looked exhausted. The soldier's fingers tightened slightly in its fur. Connection restored. Outside, dawn began to break. Soft light filtered through reinforced windows. The nurse exhaled slowly. Some soldiers wear uniforms. Some wear fur. But loyalty doesn't recognize species. And that night, a wounded dog walked into a hospital. Not as a stray, but as a warrior finishing what it started.